we'll be discussing the watershed and no, we're still going to stick with art. So a couple things and I've been noticing I've been forgetting this, but we have to remind you how to get out of the building. So there's a door at the back of the kitchen. There's a door behind the curtain over there. Of course, the door that we always use is open, and straight through the front. You can get out in case there's a problem. The bathrooms again are through those doors and to the left. And the studio, which is right behind me, has water and tea and coffee. Help yourselves, whatever you'd like. And a couple other housekeeping. So you all have a set of my pencils, and some of you have noticed that they have an odd quality about them. Yeah. If you drop them, they will break. It's all graphite and carbon. So you do have to be careful about dropping them. It's not just the end that'll break. They'll probably break in half or maybe in a couple of pieces. And if you do, let me know. I'll get you another one. I'll replace it for you. It's just that I find these to be really, really good in terms of getting nice, smooth blacks, and that's why I came up with them. The other thing is, I was out hunting around at the dollar store this weekend, and they have these things there, and they're the right size for what we're working on, and they're $5, and they the Dollarama. I didn't see them in port. We were in Niagara Falls, but I'm going to guess that they've got them everywhere. So inside, it's got a little like a little pocket on one side, an elastic thing. Plus, it's got a strap. It's got everything for $5. Did you find that at the dollar store? Dollarama, $5. Very nice. Yeah. You see, like we don't have to spend a lot of money to have fun. Okay. So I kind of reviewed our video from last week. I'm going to pull my chair over here. I didn't get it put up. No, we only just got it out like yesterday and this morning. And I kind of noticed I was going a little quickly. I noticed some of the things that maybe I glossed over that I should have spent a little more time on. I do have my spies in here who tell me things that I should and should not be doing, and 99% of the time they're right. So what I'd like to do with this class is I'd like to go over a couple of things that we talked about last week, and then I'm going to come around individually and have a look at everybody's work and make some individual suggestions so that you can kind of jump a little bit without having to sort of wait to ask a question or wait for me to come. So I'm going to go around to everybody today. I hope I can get there. And if you have questions, please just ask me. I honestly don't bite. I've stopped eating people. So, I mean, it's all safe, See, you know what? If you laugh more, I will talk more. So stop laughing? Yeah. Okay. So, thank you very much. That was my lovely and talented wife. We did talk last week about noses. Everybody's got their heads down like, oh my God, not noses. Yes, noses. Somewhere here. Here it is. Oops. Oh, maybe it's here. Oh, let me review this just for a second. So this part on the bottom, analyze, understand, and draw. It's a very simple thing to say. It's a really difficult thing sometimes to do. So when you're analyzing something, you're trying to figure out what's it made up of. And when I say that, I don't mean you're looking at a nose and trying to figure out how that nose works. No. We're looking at our reference, and we're looking for the things in the reference So I've got mine down a little bit low here, but this side of the head, side of the nose, is a big kind of lopsided triangle. Well, we kind of have to get triangle in our head, not nose. We kind of have to notice that at the end of the nose, there's a ball. So now we're thinking lopsided triangle and ball. We're not thinking nose. So when you're analyzing, you're looking for things that you can identify, and that you can then, when you understand what they are, you can draw them. Because if we try to draw a nose, we're not going to do it at this point. Yes, you will be able to, Nancy, trust me. At this point, though, it's very difficult. This thing is stuck on a face and we're looking at it and it's sticking out there. And how do we make it look like that? I mean, eyes are in, we can do that. That's easy enough. But something that's coming out. So we're looking for the shapes. We're looking for the things we can identify. So when I say analyze and understand, look at your reference. You have to be able to see what's actually in front of you. And I know this sounds really, for want of a better word, it sounds very pedantic. It does that, it sounds like that to me. But you're only drawing what you can see, not what you think you can see. We all grew up going to school and they told us, you know, we draw a head, whoops, and if it's on its side, we put a nose out like that. Well, that may or may not be the nose that's on the reference that we're looking at. The nose that's on our reference may be turned up, maybe up like that. We have to look at our reference and we have to understand what's there. Then we can draw it. And surprisingly enough, if we pull out the pieces, we'll get the whole thing. And once you start to see the whole thing, then you can start to manipulate it a little bit and make it look a little bit more like a nose, what you feel like it should look like. But start with the parts. All right, so I'm going to go back to this page. Nope, not that page. Somewhere in here I have a page. Here it is. So I gave you this page, right? And I talked about the parts of the nose. So there's all kinds of names, anatomy names. You don't need to know them, but it helps to kind of focus yourself. So the biggest thing that I want you to notice, and I think if we look here, there's a large ball at the end of your nose. At the end of everybody's nose. No matter what kind of nose you have, it's round. Now, maybe if you've been in a few fights, maybe it's flattened out, but there's usually a ball at the end and two balls on either side for the wings of the nostrils. So if you start that way, then you're halfway there. Keeping that in mind. So let me see, now that I've said that, if I can do it. So here, I'm going to go with the first one here, and there's a ball in the end of that nose. And if you look, you'll be able to see that. So I'm going to put a ball here. Then these two wings are smaller ones. And they overlap. Sorry, I've got a fold in my page there. And they're a little bit higher. This one's down a little bit low. Than the bottom of that ball. Just a little bit, depending on the nose. Who knows? Yeah, that was a joke. Come on. What a tough room. The nostrils, you may or may not see, but they are usually a teardrop. Whoops, let's do it this way. A teardrop kind of shape. So that they're wider at the outside of the wing and narrower in the middle. Look at your reference. This is just a general thing. So when we put that in, we go to here, to the bottom of that circle, and put that in. The other part that's kind of important for the bottom part of the nose is the top of the philtrum, which is the under part of your nose. So I think that's what it does say. Oh, it calls it the septum. The philtrum is just below that, but they're all part and parcel of the same thing. So that comes in here, and it's just a little bit bringing the ball of the nose down to the philtrum that comes between your lip. So you want that to join up down here, and then of course your lips come in here. But let's forget about them for now. Now the rest of it is all about looking at the reference. Because if you're looking at this reference, there's not a whole lot there in terms of what the nose is. We do see a shadow on this side and here, and a little bit here. So that can go in there and in here, and then gently bring this up along the side and around the eye. Now, this whole thing with the nose goes across the cheek, up and around the nose, and down the other side. That's what's on your face. So when we're drawing it, we want those lines of intention. Remember I talked about those before. If it's round, we make the lines round. If it's straight, we make the lines straight. Now I'm probably going to do something I tell my students never to do this, so pretend you're not watching. We're going to blend that so that it goes up and around the nose. Now you'll notice I'm bringing a little bit of value with me as I'm going on the other side. Now we're noticing here in the middle, that doesn't quite belong. So this is the point, now that we have what we need, that we can take this little bit out. And it starts to look a little bit more like a nose. And we're going to be doing a lot of blending now. We're not spending so much time drawing as we are blending. I'm going to darken these up again. There are some schools of thought that say that the nose, the nostrils of the nose, are two of the darkest places on the body. I'd say they were the second darkest place. The darkest place is the pupil. And that's where we want our darkest value. But these nostrils, they need to have darkness because the light can't get in there. Remember, light comes in a straight line. If we're seeing this light coming this way and we can see the light on top of that nose, it's not going to go in and then go up. It might bounce off a lip that's out, but the lip's not out. You can't see that. So remember that. When light goes around something, it becomes darker. If it goes around the side of our head, it's darker. That's why we think there's an outline there, because it's just darker. When it goes into the nostril, it becomes darker. Let's pick another one. We just did a front one. Let's do a side one here. So if we look at this one, again, you can see this big ball here. Whoops. On the end of the nose. And then the nostril is here. The smaller ball beside it. So we didn't see a nose. We saw two shapes. We saw a circle for the end of the nose, and then we see this other rounded part for the nostril. This should come out a little bit. And in here is that little tear shape, kind of like that. And then across the front is the septum coming down to the philtrum. Coming up here, we start with our shading. And it comes up. I need a little bit more. And it's coming up. And remember, it's going over. Now we've got too much stuff in there, so we're going to take a little bit of it out, our lines. Bring this in a little bit more around that circle. This is out a bit too far. Sorry about that. And there we go. That's from a side view. So what I'd like you to do, if you could, just for a few minutes today, I want you to go into these examples that I gave you, and I hope everybody still has them. You didn't get frustrated and just throw them away. Either use your sketchbook or use the space provided, and just try one or two and think about this idea of circles, and then going back to the reference and finding out where the shadows are, where the shapes are. You know, this whole shape up here is kind of a flattened triangle. This whole shape in here is kind of a, I don't know, almost looks like it might be a fingerprint. Whatever you can see in it, that's what you want to make sure that you draw. And then make sure you use your blending tools. So use your chamois, use your stumps. In this case, the stumps work very well to take that graphite and move it around to the spots so that we get a nice shade or a nice shadow on it.
Chris, do you have more of those copies that you gave last week?
The which?
These ones?
We're going to talk about the beard again. I know we've talked about the beard forever and a day, but I think we should talk about it again. I've noticed that some people have been able to master that thing with when I put the lines in with the stylus, and some people haven't quite got it. For those of you that haven't quite got it, we still need to bring some lightness and darkness into there. So we're going to take our kneaded eraser for this job, and we're going to make sure it's well kneaded. By the way, I don't want you to work on your drawing as I'm talking, because when I'm done talking, and then I'm going to come around and look at all your stuff, I did kind of notice that nobody washed their hands. And you probably have oils all over your hands, and you're getting it all over your drawing, and you're going to have fingerprints. And I'm just throwing it out there. That's all I'm saying. Not much more.
I did when I was in the other room. Just saying.
I did not see you do that.
I wasn't in there. I was in there.
Oh, okay. All
I
right.
don't think you'd be in there. Just saying.
We're going to take our kneaded eraser, and remember, we're going to make it into a blade so that it's kind of like a knife, and then it's very narrow on the end.
Gotcha.
And then very, very flat, just like a knife. Okay? Can everybody see what I'm talking about? I can come around. So we want it to be nice. Yeah, not that thin. So that's a good point. You know what? We don't want it so thin that when we use it, it's going to bend over. But we want it thin enough that we're going to be able to take a line out. So I'll demonstrate again. Have some value on the beard, and some were able to take out those stylus lines. But if you can't, and honestly, it's a trick. You really have to work at and practice. This works really well. So we're going to take this blade and we're going to look at our reference. Once again, looking at our reference, what does the hair look like? Well, the hair comes from the top and it goes all the way down in these swirly things. So we're going to take one out. Then we're going to knead our eraser back in and make another blade. You can only really do this once, and then you have to re-knead. Otherwise, it's going to get too full of graphite, and it's not going to take out a nice clear line for you. You want these lines to cross themselves and to come down. And you're going to be tempted to try to do it more than one line. Don't do it. The second line that you put down will have a little bit of darkness in it, and it won't quite match the rest of them. So as I'm doing this, I'm paying attention to where they are. And after I have a few, I'm going to take my HB pencil, which I hope this is. Yes, this is my HB pencil. Nicely sharpened. This is going to be our detail hand now that we're going to use. So we're going to probably hold it closer to the end so that we can control it better. In our reference, the light is coming, if I look at it, it's coming from the right side to, you know what, it's so hard when I'm standing up here, from the right side to the left. So that means that on the beard, this side will be light, this side will have a shadow. So wherever you took a hair out, you're now with your HB pencil going to go right along the edge of that and just darken it down ever so slightly on, if you're looking at it, on the left side. Now, some of these aren't going to work. But the majority of them will, and you'll start to see the hair that you can see in the reference. Now, again, that's only if you're not happy with your beard. If you're happy with your beard and what's there, you don't have to change it on my account. This is just another technique for you to put in your back pocket for the next time you do a beard, or maybe when you're doing hair. I mean, it works for hair as well, paying attention to where the light is, having the shadow underneath that so that it brings it forward. Okay? So I'm going to, for the next probably 25 or 30 minutes, wander around. I want to look at everybody's drawing if you want me to. And I'm going to make some suggestions, individual suggestions for you. So hang on to your questions. I'm coming. If you want to get up and go for coffee or wander around and stretch your legs, do that as well. We won't take a formal break. Yes? Do it louder. I'm sorry, say it louder.
What you were just doing there with your knife blade, did you like roll down or did you go a little bit?
No, we're going to try to make a nice smooth stroke.
Stay one.
Yeah, from top to bottom. Good question, yes. We don't want to do a little bit, then a little bit, then a little bit. We want to look at our reference. What does the hair look like? And come down and stop wherever we think that hair stops. And then maybe do another one over top and stop where that stops. So good, yeah, thank you.
That Santa looks like you.
Hmm?
This Santa looks like you.
It actually is me. I was accused of that by one of my art teachers. So I would like you to, if you could, continue to work on your drawing. If you have questions, take a picture, send it to me. I will try to answer over the email or, over email. That's all I have. What am I talking about? Use the Summer Haze Studios email. Next week, hopefully, we will mat your pictures, which means we have to spray them first. We have to put fixative on them. If we don't spray them, we put them behind glass, and the static electricity in the house will pull the graphite off the page, and it'll start to look muddy. So we're going to spray them. I have spray for you. I have mats for you. We're going to put them in a mat. We're going to put them in an acid-free bag, and then you're going to go home and put it right on your fridge. It has to be out there where everybody can see it. Nobody gets to hide these pictures. And I would hope that maybe it goes up on the mantle for the next month or so while Christmas is on. You've all done a fantastic job. I'm looking around this room and seeing these Santa Clauses, which I honestly thought we wouldn't be this far. I thought there would be a lot more of you saying, well, I'm going to finish it in the next couple of weeks and I'll come back in and get it matted. Most of you are just about ready to have them matted, with the exception of like a couple of people just go a little bit darker, and we're there. So that's next week for us. I will have a couple of other activities for us to work on. And as always, if you don't finish, don't worry. Work on it. When you finish, I come in and I will mat it then. Okay? You are now part of the Atelier program, so you are welcome to come and access me with questions and for help at any time now. You don't have to take a class. You're part of the Atelier. Okay? All right. So that's it. Go home, work hard.